Hi everyone, welcome to the Surviving Spouses Intestate Calculation Review video. We went over this in class, but this is a review video that goes over 6 different scenarios to show you the different formulas and to help you review those. You can watch this as many times as you want to help you get it down. The problems that I'm using are posted on the Blackboard page immediately preceding this video, so make sure that you've downloaded those and you have them in front of you so you can go along with me as I do the math, okay? So if you need to pause the video, do it now. Go get those problems, put them in front of you, and we'll go through it together. All right, so we're going to go through problem number 1. All right, problem number 1 says this. I have my fact pattern taped to the board up here so I can make sure I get the facts accurately. Michael died survived by his wife Amy and their 3 children, Adam, Bobby, and Chris. His distributable estate is worth $550,000. All right, well, step 1 of problem 1, of any problem dealing with intestate succession, is to draw out the family tree. So here we have Michael, and he is married to Amy. All right, Michael is our decedent. And they had 3 children, Adam, Bobby, and Chris. All right, so that's Michael's family tree. What we're trying to figure out is how much is Amy entitled to. So by looking at the family tree and who has survived Michael, we can determine Amy's intestate formula, and that is step 2. So step 2 is, what is Amy's intestate formula? Because Michael died leaving descendants that are mutual with the surviving spouse, Amy is entitled to the first $150,000. Sorry about the squeaky marker. I'll probably switch it out for the next problem. First $150,000 plus 1/2. So we shorten that in class to 150 plus 1/2. So now we have the family tree. We know the surviving spouse's formula. So let's go to step 3, and step 3 is where we actually do the math. The facts say that Michael's distributable estate is $550,000. All right? Amy's entitled to the first 150 plus 1/2 of the remainder. So the first 150 comes off, parentheses means to subtract. That leaves us with 400,000. We divide that by 2 because she's entitled to 1/2 of that remainder. Gives us 200,000. We take these two, add them together. 150 plus 200,000 is $350,000. That is what Amy will get. So Amy gets $350,000. The remaining 200,000, 550 minus 350 is 200,000. That 200,000 is going to be divided between Michael's descendants, Adam, Bobby, and Chris. All right, so there's problem number 1. Okay, let's go on to problem number 2. Okay, we're now on to problem number 2. The facts of this problem state that Beth died survived by her husband, James, and her son from a previous marriage, Steve. So again, step 1 of every intestate succession problem is to draw out the family tree. So here we have Beth and we have James. Beth is our decedent, right? And Beth left a son from a previous marriage, Steve. So we draw Steve off of Beth only. So in this case, we're trying to figure out how much is James entitled to. So we take a look at Beth's family tree and we see that she left a surviving descendant who is not a descendant of the surviving spouse. Therefore, the surviving spouse in step 2, determining our formula, is the first 100,000 plus 1/2, or 100 plus 1/2, however you choose to write it. So now we know that's James's formula. Okay, let's do the math. Step 3. Now as you go through this, you're going to do these steps pretty quickly, but you still need practice understanding that these are the steps that you go through. So as you start out, do it this way every time And that way you won't be making mistakes, skipping over steps or missing or trying to find a shortcut that isn't there and then missing the math that you need to do. In this fact pattern, the distributable estate is $700,000. We know that James is entitled to the first $100,000, which leaves us with $600,000. Divide that by 2. We now have $300,000. So here's the first $100,000 divided by 2 plus 1/2 of that remainder. Add them together. $100,000 plus $300,000 is $400,000. This is James's share. So James will take $400,000. The remaining $300,000 of the estate is going to go to Steve as the surviving descendant of Beth. Remember, we are distributing Beth's estate, not James's estate, only Beth, so we're worried about who is related to Beth. Okay, that's problem number 2. Now we're going to go on to problem number 3. Okay, we're now on problem number 3. Again, we're going to do the same steps over and over. So step 1 is draw that family tree. I want you to take a look at the facts, and I want you to draw out the family tree this time before I do and see if yours matches mine. So here are the facts. Jason died survived by his wife Tammy and his mother Arlene. So think about it. How would you draw that family tree? I'll give you a second here. Okay, here's how I'm going to do it. Jason is survived by his wife Tammy and his mother Arlene. That's what Jason's family tree should look like. Jason is our decedent. Tammy is the surviving spouse, and that's who we have to figure out. How much does Tammy get? So step 2, looking at that family tree, what is Tammy's intestate formula? In this case, because Jason left no surviving descendants but did leave a surviving parent, Tammy is entitled to the first $150,000 plus 3/4, or $150 plus 3/4. Just like that. Okay? So now how do we do the math? Here's step 3, the math. The facts tell us that Jason's distributable estate is worth $450,000. Tammy gets the first $150,000, which leaves us with $300,000. And now she gets 3/4 of the remainder. So we need to take this $300,000 and multiply it by 0.75. That will give us 3/4, and that amount is $225,000. I'm checking my math up there to make sure I don't do anything wrong on the board. So now there's the 3/4 of the remainder. There's the first $150,000. So the first $150,000 plus 3/4 of the remainder gives us $375,000. This goes to Tammy. Okay? You add these two together. All right, so if Tammy takes $375,000, there is $75,000 left in the estate. That $75,000 goes to Jason's mother, Arlene. And we have distributed the entire estate. Okay, so that's problem 3. Let's take a look at it. All right, let's go on to problem number 4. Okay, here we are at problem number 4. Problem number 4 is deceptively easy. You can pretty much figure it out just by looking at step 1, drawing the family tree. But let's take a look at the facts. So we need to come up with a family tree for problem number 4. Step 1, Karen died survived by her wife Jessica and Jessica's 2 children, Peter and Joan. Karen never adopted Jessica's 2 children. Okay, so how does that family tree look? We have Karen, we have Jessica. Karen is our decedent. And Jessica has 2 children, Peter and Joan. So that's what the family tree looks like. Now, we're distributing Karen's estate. So we only care about who is surviving Karen, who's related to Karen. In this case, did Karen leave any surviving descendants? No. Did Karen leave a surviving parent? No. She did leave a surviving spouse. So with no surviving descendants and no surviving parent, our formula under step 2 is the entire estate. We'll write out estate there. All of it. So in this situation, Jessica is entitled to the entire $300,000 because Karen died leaving no surviving descendants and no surviving parent. So while the facts look kind of long, there's really no math to do once you see the family tree. All right, so let's go on to question number 5. Okay, we're now on to problem number 5. The facts of problem number 5 say Tony died survived by his wife Amanda and her 2 children from a previous marriage. Try drawing this family tree yourself and see if yours matches mine. The children from Amanda's previous marriage are Joey and Ryan. Tony and Amanda also had 2 children, Meg and Tasha. So, take a stab at it. Step 1, drawing out Tony's family tree. So we have Tony, who's married to Amanda. Tony is our decedent. Amanda had 2 children, Joey and Ryan. Okay? The facts go on to state that Tony and Amanda also had 2 children, Meg and Tasha. Now those 2 children are mutual between the decedent and the surviving spouse. And anytime you have mutual descendants between the decedent and the surviving spouse, the surviving spouse's formula is always, you got it, 150 plus 1/2. The first 150,000 plus 1/2 of the remainder. So now we know Amanda's formula. Okay, let's go to step 3. The math. The facts tell us that Tony's distributable estate is worth $800,000. All right. Amanda takes the first $150,000, which leaves us with $650,000. We divide that by 2 because she gets the 1/2 of the remainder. That gives us $325,000. We add those 2 together, which gives us a total of $475,000. This is Amanda's share. So Amanda takes $475,000. Well, what happens to the remaining $325,000? Well, here it's going to go to Tony's descendants only. So Tony's descendants are Meg and Tasha. Joey and Ryan are not descendants of Tony. So the remaining $325,000 goes to Meg and Tasha. There's problem number 5. All right, let's do our last problem, problem number 6. All right, here's problem number 6. Again, draw out the family tree and see if yours matches mine. So step 1, the family tree. Kim died survived by her husband, Jesse. Kim's 2 children from her previous marriage, John and Greg, also survive her, as well as her father, Ralph. So let's draw out Kim's family tree. Kim is survived by Jesse, her husband. She is our decedent. She is also survived by her 2 children from a previous marriage, John and Greg, as well as her father, Ralph. So that's what Kim's family tree looks like. We're trying to figure out how much does Jesse take as the surviving spouse. So let's take a look at step 2. What is Jesse's formula? Did the decedent leave surviving descendants? Yes, she did, John and Greg. Were those surviving descendants also descendants of the surviving spouse? No, they were not. The fact that Kim's father, Ralph, survives makes no difference because Kim left surviving descendants, and we don't look up as long as we can go down. So, Jesse's formula is going to be the first $100,000 plus 1/2 because the decedent left surviving descendants that were not descendants of the surviving spouse. So that's Jesse's formula. Let's go through the math. Step 3. Kim's distributable estate is $900,000. Okay? Jesse gets to take the first $100,000, which leaves us with 8, divided by 2 because he gets 1/2 of the remainder as well. That gives us $400,000. Add those two together. $100,000 plus $400,000 is $500,000. So this is what Jesse is going to take. So Jesse has $500,000. The remaining $400,000 of her distributable estate is going to go to John and Greg, and they will split that. Ralph takes nothing because Kim left surviving descendants. Okay, I hope that helps. You can watch this video as many times as you want. If you have any questions, please contact me. Let me know if you need help with anything, but please watch this as many times as you need to. One little tip, draw out the calculation the same way every single time. There's no shortcut here. You just get faster at it. You'll get faster at all of these steps as you practice with it, but it does require practice. So make sure you're practicing these, make sure you're making up facts. If you want to make up facts and distributable estates that aren't Horvathian numbers, I'm fine with that. I will check it for you with my little calculator and make sure you did it right. But just keep practicing, and I will see you in class. Thanks. Bye.